Hi everyone, good evening. So we'll just give a few minutes for most people to try and join. Then we can start. We're already 15 minutes into the time, but let's just give other people time to join in. Saying that it's nobody's fault. Good afternoon, everybody. Um, so I'll just share my screen so we can start. My name is Mary Onora. Just an introduction. I'm a QA engineer and I'll be a facilitator for the JavaScript class. Before we start, while I'm sharing my screen, I would like a couple of persons to unmute themselves and probably introduce themselves and what you're currently doing, and also let us know if you've had any experience with JavaScript before now. Yeah, while I'm sharing my screen. So please, someone can start. Can you guys hear me?
Hi everyone, is it just me? I can't hear anyone speaking.
You can't hear me?
Hi, good afternoon. I can
We
hear
can hear you.
Okay. I really don't know. I think she said she can't hear me. I don't know if that's what she said. He or she. Okay. Okay, I think it's your network.
So I can hear you actually. So good
Okay.
afternoon, everyone. My name is Temitope. I'm a QA engineer. This is my. I don't have any experience with JavaScript before. Thank you.
Thank you, Temi, for that introduction. Any other person? So I'm asking because I want to have understand the people I'm talking to so that I know how to go about the training. I want to
Okay.
know. Yes, no. Hi, Adenike.
Yeah, my name is Adenike Elishola. I'm a QA engineer. Also, I think I only know basics of JavaScript that I picked from Postman. So yeah, that's all.
Okay. Welcome, Adenike. Hi, Vivian. Okay. Um, I don't know. It's like people are joining and leaving. I don't know if it's their network or something. Um, but yeah. All right. So please let me know when you can see my screen. Okay. Um, sorry. Can you hear? Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes, we
Okay.
can see your screen.
Okay. Oh, so sorry, I have to be admitting people. Okay, I don't know if any of the class rep is here. Like the is here already.
Yes. I am here. Sorry. I already set up. I'm so sorry, please. I'm here.
Okay, so I'll just make you a co-host here so that you can admit people, please, so that I don't get distracted.
Oh, okay.
Um,
That I'm going to give you the one you're going to use to make me calls. Is the one with Oluwadam Larry.
what?
The one on the call join as Oluwadam Larry, not this one I'm speaking with.
Oluwadamilare
Yes. Uh,
Parkinson.
yes. So
Okay.
now I'm about to admit. So it's be easier like that.
Okay. I just did that. Please see, check if you can admit
Yes.
people.
Yes. I can see the post and I have my
Okay.
admission on, so it will admit people automatically.
Okay, cool. So let's just start. So once again, sorry for the I don't know if I should be the one apologizing anyway. Uh okay. So we are here because we are here to learn JavaScript for automation, or all we need to know about JavaScript to enable us to automation. Please, if you can still see my screen, confirm that you can still see my screen. Uh, I just need confirmation from one
I can
person.
see your screen. Good evening. I
Yes.
can see your screen.
Also, I'm sharing my screen, so I might not be able to see any if you raise your hand or if you have any questions. So if I ask, please just unmute and respond so I know that you're following me. Um, Seeing that I may not be able to see you because I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so and please, if you are confused or you won't have questions, please let me know. You can raise your hand and then Parkinson, since you're here, you can just let me know and let the person ask their questions. Okay. Yeah. So we are here to learn JavaScript, and so what is JavaScript basically? What is JavaScript? What do we understand by JavaScript? Right.
Sorry, there's
Um,
something covering your screen, like audience windows or something. It's covering the presentation.
audience window.
Meaning,
Yeah,
the
I'm also seeing that mode out too.
Okay.
so what
Audience
what
Um,
is
window.
that
okay.
audience?
Actually, okay.
Thank
So
you.
I actually moved to where the slide is so that I can move the slides. What's going on?
The model
Okay.
has gone out now, so we can see your actual presentation.
Okay. Can you still see my actual presentation? Because I'm actually, I have one tab where the slide is, so I can be able to move between slides. So I don't know if that's what is causing the modal,
What
whatever.
we can see now is
It's
with one session one, JavaScript overview. That's what we can see.
Awesome. Okay, that's the screen where I am. So yeah, that's what we should be seeing. Okay. So I've moved to a new slide. Can you still see that? Can you see that? What is
Yes,
JavaScript?
yes.
Okay, cool. So what is JavaScript, right? Like you can see on the screen, um, JavaScript is a programming language, right? That's mainly used for building interactive web applications. Originally was limited to running in web browsers, right? But currently it now has the capacity to run on both servers and web browsers, right? It's so yeah, so it's a language that is versatile. It is also lightweight, and it's a powerful programming language. Yeah, that's widely used for creating interactive web applications. So like I said before, initially it was limited to web browsers, where you just do your, basic stuff and basic, um, integrating it with your HTML to enable you our web be interactive basically. But now we have JavaScript can be used to build web servers with the help of the Node.js, which is the runtime application which is the runtime environment for JavaScript, right? So the main point here is, or the main features, or the main point you can see from the explanation, or from the definition you can see on your screen, is that first, JavaScript is a lightweight language. What does this mean? So it means that JavaScript programming language does not require a lot of resources, right? Does not require a lot of system resources to run. Unlike some other languages like maybe Java, which requires the Java virtual machine, or the C Sharp, which is compiled, which requires like the compiled binaries for, not C Sharp, sorry, C++, and other languages, right? But JavaScript does not require any of these resources to run, right? So it is lightweight. It also runs directly on the web browsers. We'll see that in action when we start and when we go into writing code. You see how you can actually write your JavaScript in your browser, in your Chrome browser. Then it is versatile. That's another point that you can see there. So you can actually use JavaScript for both front end and back end. For front end, you can use it for web pages, to build web pages. So most of the web pages you see there are running JavaScript with the help of other frameworks like React, Angular, and all of that. So, and then you can also use JavaScript for backend, right? Some people build their backend with Node.js, which is actually JavaScript programming with the help of the Node.js engine. Then we have for mobile apps with JavaScript is basically what is used in React Native and all of that. So the next point there is that it is powerful. So JavaScript can handle complex tasks like real-time updates, animations, database interactions, right? Unlike maybe your HTML, CSS that you can just use to like build static websites and make this thing to make like lines on your website. So yeah, moving on. So on the so for how do you now get to like write JavaScript on your laptops or on your machines, or write code on JavaScript? So first you need to have the Node.js installed. Like I said when I was explaining that it's JavaScript is actually running on the Node.js environment. So the machine, the Node.js is basically the runtime environment for JavaScript. So you need to have Node.js installed on your laptop for you to be able to write JavaScript code, right? So how do you install that? I don't know how many of you have Node.js, have Node.js installed on your laptop already. Do we have anybody? Okay, how many people? Only 5 people. Okay, 6 people. Okay. So I don't know how many people already have that, but if you don't already have JavaScript and Node.js installed on your laptop, then you would have to do that. Try to get it set up today before our class tomorrow. So I'm going to share the link for you to download Node.js. I also put steps for you to install, what you need to do to set up your laptop for both Mac and Windows. So the first slide you can see is for Mac users, and then the next slide is for Windows users. So I'm going to get the link. Okay, since I'm sharing one window. Okay, I'll just share the link to just download. Okay. I need to share. Hold on, please. Since I'm just sharing one window. Please, I'm going to stop sharing and share again so that you can see what I want you to see. Entire screen. Okay, cool. Please, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
I can
Yes.
see your screen.
So this, I'm going to drop it in the chat to download Node.js. So as you can see on my screen, when you visit this site, which is the Node.js official website, you can actually download so I said in my slide that you should download the macOS installer. The LTS version is mostly recommended. So what do I mean by LTS? So LTS is the long-term support version for Node. So if you see here on the dropdown, you can see that the current version is version 23.8, but it is not the long-term support. So I'd advise you download this long-term support. Now, what does that mean? It means that this version has, over time, is more stable, right, than the current version, right? So it's better to use the current LTS version until they have another current LTS version. Then you can update to that version, or you can still be using the last LTS version that you have. except maybe your work requires you to like update to that one, or probably down like backdate your this thing. So if you can see, if you see here, you see that they have LTS version at 18.20, they have at 20.18. The last one, the latest one is 2.14. So it's recommended that you download this one. So for Mac users, you can see that, I mean, Mac is already highlighted. I don't know if it's because I'm using Mac, but yeah, that's what is highlighted. So here you can actually switch to either Windows or Linux, depending on the operating system that you're using, right? Also, so when you switch this, you can then come down here and download. So for Mac OS, you can see the installer. For Windows, you can see the Windows installer, and then you download it basically. So when you download it, you follow the steps that will be prompted on your system. So for those who might want to probably install using their terminal, you have some some instructions here that you can actually follow, or you can use Homebrew. For those who are using Mac OS, you can use Homebrew. So make sure Homebrew is installed on your laptop, and then you can easily use Homebrew to install that. I'm trying, I wouldn't want us to start going through the process of installing. I already have it on my laptop. So, but try to follow the procedures, like I said, and then try to install it on your own, on your laptop, so that you can get your laptop set up. If you're having any issues doing that, please reach out in the group chat so that would help you with that. So like on the fourth point, you can see where I said to verify your installation, you need to verify that you have Node installed on your system. How do you do that? Sorry. How do you do that? So when you go to your terminal, open your terminal. After installation, to be sure that you've actually successfully installed your Node.js on your laptop, what you need to do is to type node-version. For Windows users, you can open your Windows terminal, that's your command line, type the same line of code, and it basically just displays the version. For me, I have 18.19. Or you can type node -- version, and when you hit enter, it basically shows you your your current node version. Okay, so Node.js also comes packaged with npm. And what is npm? Npm is your node package manager. So if you can see here, you can see that it says get Node.js version for macOS using NVM or whatever. So if you want to use NVM, these are like some other ways of getting Node.js on your laptop. Then with npm, so you can see npm here. So Node.js basically comes packaged with, once you install Node, it automatically comes with npm. So you also need to check for you to check what version of npm came or is installed on your laptop. You just need to run the same code, but this time you're calling npm -version, and then it shows you the version. So for me, what I have is npm version 10.7.0. Or you can also do npm -version, and then it shows you the same thing, right? So let's proceed. This is for Windows users. So for Windows users, when you download your Node.js, when you start running your installer, make sure that this particular you add it to your path, right? So for Mac users, most times it's automatic, right? You don't necessarily need to start going through the stress of adding it to your path. But for Windows, I think you need to do that. So I don't use Windows really. So, but from what I've seen, you need to add it to path. Then, if it prompts you to restart your system, you just have to do that. And then this is the same thing that I just explained before. So the next thing that we'll be needing for this course is your VS Code. VS Code is basically an IDE, independent integrated development environment, where we'll be writing our code. So if you don't also have VS Code installed, you can also go to their official website to do it. So say VS Code. Um, so so you can go to VS Code and then download whichever one works with you. So you can see we have Windows, Ubuntu, we have Mac OS. So you can download the one that works for. So and I mean it's easy to install. Basically, it's just straightforward. So I'll just drop the link here as well, and so I don't know if that's a question. What's her name? I don't know if you're having an issue. Whoever is asking, how do we do that? Okay, so the next thing is sorry. Yeah. Okay. So we're just going to dive right in because I mean this class is more of practical. It's not a theoretical class. I just did that walkthrough for us to get just a theoretical understanding of some JavaScript before we go into coding. So we want to write our first JavaScript line of code. So if you're yet to set up your laptop, don't worry, we are not doing much of this thing. You would go into most of it from tomorrow. So just try and set up your laptop today. So I'm just going to open up a folder in my VS Code. So this is my VS Code. I already have it installed. So I'm going to open my VS Code. I'm opening a new window. So if you open your VS Code, you're going to see something like this. For the first time, you might be seeing, yeah, something like this, basically. So what you need to do is probably, so first you can decide to maybe create a folder. Before now, I created a folder here. Or, yeah, create a folder. And then when you open your VS Code, or you can even do that from your terminal, depending on you, right? So, but I'll just go from here so that everybody's following up. So I'll open the folder that I already created. The folder is located on my desktop and I call it lessons. So I'm going to open that folder. And when I open the folder, you can see something like this. So I'm currently inside of the folder. So I'm going to create a file. So if you look at these icons here, they represent different things in the VS Code, though we are not here to learn about VS Code. So yeah, this is to open a new file. This is to create a new folder. So if you want to create a folder inside of this folder, you can use this, but I'm just creating a new file and I'm going to name it index.js. So I'm naming it .js because this is a
that folder screen. Sorry, we can't see that folder screen. Like, I guess
really,
it's not on the screen that you're
really.
your
Please, is it just how everybody? Because I'm sharing my entire screen.
I can see your view.
I
can
can
see your
see
view.
I can see it too. Maybe you
You
should
can see my
leave
VS
and
Code,
join.
right?
Yes, I saw how you opened the file and everything.
Oh, okay. Good.
Same here.
So I think it's your maybe your network is lagging. Okay. So
Then
um
I'll rejoin.
okay, so I've just created a new file and with a file extension of .js. The reason is because I want to write JavaScript code inside this file. If I'm going to be writing maybe HTML, I'll be giving it a file extension of .html. So, but we are doing JavaScript. So here. So first of all, I'll want to just write a simple line of code. So let's say, for instance, console.log. Maybe this is ANST JavaScript. Let me just use JS class, right? So this is a simple line of code that would basically
Sorry,
do
sorry, we are
something.
not seeing anything. No, I think,
Okay, so we can't see that actually.
yeah,
Really?
yes.
Let's see. Is it my network? Hmm. Um, okay. Let me, you know what? I'll just, well, I thought it was, I think it's moving with me. I'll just stop and share again, just for us to be on the same page. Okay, share my entire screen. So let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, it's up now.
Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should do this. You can see my VS Code, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah, you can see.
Okay, cool. So yeah, like I said, I just so this is like a simple line of code in to write in JavaScript, which is basically log what we have here on the console. So this what this console log does so is a function or a method in JavaScript that basically logs whatever you pass inside of this function on the console for you, right? So I'm just going to open up my terminal. I can do that with Ctrl J on my Mac, or you can click on, you see where we have terminal up here. You can just open a new terminal and it will do the same thing for you. So it's open this terminal, and the directory I'm currently in is my current folder. If I am not in this directory, if I'm trying to run this file, I'm going to run into an error. In fact, it won't run it because it won't be seeing this file. So you have to make sure that you're in the current directory where you want to run the file that you want to run. So I'm just going to run this, and I'm going to run it using Node. So I'm going to type Node, and then I'm going to type the file name that I want to run. And the file name is index.js.
I'm sorry, please, why are you typing this thing? Because all we
Sorry, we
can
can't
see is your
see
This
VS.
is
the
not moving. Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
just VS Code.
Your cursor is not
I,
even moving at all.
eh,
It's not moving
Yeah,
at
we can
all.
only see your PS.
You
The
only
thing is
see
typing,
your
typing.
screen, and nothing
okay.
is moving.
A cursor is a point, is showing dots, a green dots, very
Okay.
light.
Okay, yeah, we
Yeah,
can
we
see
are
the
seeing
terminal
it.
now.
It's not moving. It's just static. It's not moving.
So you are not seeing what I'm typing.
You're not
We
typing
just saw
anything.
it now. We were not seeing it before. It was only
Well,
showing console.log. So this terminal part under part was not there at all before.
okay. So the thing is, it's the network that is doing that. It's the network. So I think it's lagging. So it's taking time to show you what I am doing. Um. Okay. Give me a minute. A moment. Let me just switch my network to a different one. Okay. Let's see if this helps. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
And can you see my screen? The VS Code.
We can
Yes,
see your
we
screen.
can.
Okay. So I've already typed Node and then the file name that I want to run. And then I'm going to hit enter. So you can see on the console that it's logged what we have in here. It logged this string that you can see here. This is ANST JSClass. So this is on our IDE. This is happening on our IDE. So, but like we said before, JavaScript you can actually write JavaScript code even on your browser, right? So I'm just going to open up a Chrome browser. Can you see my browser?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I'm going to demonstrate this on the browser as well, so you can see how that works on the browser. So when you inspect, what I did was to inspect on my Chrome browser, and then you click on your console. So on the console, I'm just going to write the same line of code that I wrote in my VS Code. So um, so here you can do console. You can see it's bringing up suggestions of different functions, methods. So I'm going to do console.log, and then I'm going to say this is ANST
Uh,
JS
sorry,
We
class.
earlier said
can't
We're not
see your
seeing
screen. We
anything. Oh.
can't see
Nothing is
anything.
moving. Nothing is right.
Hey, God, oh.
So can I say something? It could
Yes,
be like a privacy thing because all this while when you were inspecting on your terminal, it wasn't showing. So could it be
Yeah.
a privacy?
privacy.
There's a possibility. I'm not just saying.
No, I don't have any kind of privacy set on my browser. I still think it's network that is lagging a little. Can you now see my console?
Not at all.
We can see your console, but we can't see anything written.
You can't see the console. Oh God.
can see only
No,
root
it's
zero or something.
Okay, if you can see that, then you should be able to see this thing. I think it's the network. It's still coming up. Wow. Uh, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I've switched my network to a different one just to be sure that is it up now?
not yet. Darren, please, can we change to Zoom? Maybe it will give us what we want. Maybe it's because it's Google Meet. I don't know. Because of the numbers.
Um so okay, can we switch to Zoom then? But it's going to cut the
it has
class.
come up now.
Yeah, it's just coming up now.
Okay, so I think we should just manage for today, and then tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's better. Let's just manage for today instead of us switching to Zoom.
Yeah, please. I think it's basically maybe it's Google Meet too, because I don't understand what's going on. Because the network seems to be uh, okay. Yeah. So like you can see on my screen now, I've typed console.log, and then when I hit enter, it's going to do exactly the same thing it did on my IDE. So it's logged. This is ANST JavaScript, right? Um, so that is what we mean by okay, JavaScript can actually run. It's versatile. You can actually write your JavaScript code even on your browser, and it will still do the same thing. That it will still give you the same results that it was giving you on your IDE. I am back to my IDE. I hope you can still see my screen.
Yeah, we
Um,
can.
okay, so yeah, moving on. Um, the next thing on the list to talk about today is variables. So what are variables? Um, I hope you can see my screen, the slide now. Um, so
Yeah.
Yes.
so a variable in programming is a container. I don't know if you're wondering why I said in programming, but the truth is variable is not JavaScript specific, right? In programming languages, be it Java, C++, C Sharp, Golang, whatever, Python, you would see variables. You would come across variables, right? So what it means is that as long as you're writing code, you would have to, or you'll be using variables at some point. Please, what's going on? What happened just now?
The
Okay.
curtain
The window
closed.
closed.
The curtain closed.
Stay up now.
The curtain closed. But it's showing best practices for naming variables.
Okay. Jesus.
You have a Canva feature right on the top right that allows you to close window, close curtain.
Okay. So are we back on the variable screen now?
Yes.
Yes, we
Yeah.
are.
I don't understand
Yeah, we
what's
are
going.
back on it.
Okay. So yeah. So variables basically are containers, right? Used to store value, which you can actually use in the future. So it means you can basically reference these variables later at a later time within your code, right? Or even outside of your code. And you can actually manipulate it throughout your code. That when I say manipulation, it means you can probably use them to perform things. You can change, in some cases, you can change them. In some cases, you cannot, depending on the keyword you've used to declare this variable. So variables are basically containers that are used to hold values. So they are like memory locations where you store data. So for instance, oh, this is the boxes. Okay, so that's where these boxes come in. I mistakenly put it here. So, but this was meant to basically help you illustrate what variables are. So these variables can be like a box where you store things. So going by these boxes that you can see here, I have the first box titled boys, right? So what I'm saying here is that I am storing the names of boys in this box. So when you open this box, you're going to be seeing things like Emeka, James, Joseph, Ali, Ademola. I don't know if that's a male name or a female name. Chukudi, just any male name that you can think of, right? That's what you'll be seeing in this variable called boys, right? So whenever I need these names of boys in my code, I can just go and say and call boys, and then it will give me the names of these people that are inside this box. So what this means is that this particular box or this particular box variable is holding a value or group of values, right? In this case, group of values, right? Which is in programming, array of values, right? And that is names of boys. So it's basically holding an array of boys, right? Then the next one you can see is girls. What you can see there, what I have stored inside of this box is names of girls, right? So you can basically liken this to maybe your box that you have at home where you put in your clothes. You can have a particular box where you store your clothes. You have another box where you store maybe your shoes or books or something. But you know that whenever you need your clothes, you go to that particular box. And you can decide to give that box a name, right? So that name would be the variable name for that particular box. So I don't know if the explanation I gave is clear for variables, especially those who are new to JavaScript. If you're not clear, please let me know. So these variables have rules, right? There are rules for naming variables in JavaScript, in programming. So although in some programming languages, some program might slightly differ from other ones, but here we are focusing on JavaScript. So we're going to be talking about rules for naming variables in JavaScript, right? And the first one is A variable must not begin with a number, right? It cannot even start with numbers. Although you might have a number as part of the variable name, but it cannot start with a number, right? So let's try to demonstrate that. So let me comment this out. So when you add this to any line of code in JavaScript, you are commenting it out. What do I mean by commenting out? You are saying, please ignore this line, act like you are not seeing it. And when you run this code, it will act like it's not seeing it. In fact, it will not see it. So if I run this, it will not print anything, unlike the way it printed before. So that's what it means by commenting a line of code out. So we are talking about variables, right? So now, I said a variable name must not begin with a number. So first of all, let's even declare a variable. Let's declare a variable and see what it looks like in code. So for example, I'm going to say, let's maybe, yeah, name. Let me see name. So this name here is a variable, right? Now, what I've just done here is that I've declared a variable called name, and this name can actually hold any value. As it stands now, it can hold any value at all. It can hold a number, it can hold anything, right? So, but when I say name is equal to, and I give it something, let's say ANST, it means I've given it a value, right? And when I do console log name, it's going to print out this value for me. So when I call this variable, it gives me the value it is holding. So if I run this, you're going to see ANST printed on my terminal, right? So now let's say the rules for naming variables now. Let's say we want to name a variable and then we now put maybe 9 here. Are you seeing what is happening? I hope you can still see my screen.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So now you're seeing what is happening. First of all, you're seeing, I don't know if you can see the red lines under the let and the,
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
yes. So it's already flagging this thing and telling you that this is not allowed in JavaScript. So you can't put a number behind, you can't use a number to start a variable name. Then the next rule says that a variable name can start with underscore or a $sign. So what it means is that you can start a variable name with underscore and it will still give you the result. So it works, right? If you print this, it will print the same result for you. If you put dollar at the beginning, it will still accept it. And when you console log this, if you call this variable, it will still give you the value it is storing, right? So that is allowed in JavaScript. Then the next point is that a variable name must not contain hyphen. It must not contain hyphen. I hope we know that this is different from this. Underscore is different from hyphen. So if for instance I put hyphen here, there's going to be an error. If you see, it's already underlining red. And if you want to prove stubborn and say you want to run it, you will see what will happen. It's already throwing a syntax error saying that there's an invalid left-hand side in assignment. So on the left-hand side, which is this side, there is an invalid error, which is the hyphen. You cannot even put it in the middle here. Maybe, for instance, you want to write username. You now say, okay, because you want to differentiate user and name, let me put hyphen. It will still throw the same error, right? It is not allowed. The next thing is that variable names are case sensitive. They are case sensitive. So what do I mean by it is case sensitive? What it means is that I've used lowercase letters to create this variable name. I cannot come here and say print print print, let me say name. I'll now start with uppercase letter. If I do this, it's not going to be seeing this. It's going to be seeing, if you can even see the difference. When I hover on this, I'm seeing that name is a string. When I hover on this, I'm seeing that name is anything, right? So it means that it is not recognizing this name here as this one. They are both the same spelling, but they are different in terms of case sensitivity. So the name here, the uppercase letter here is regarded as a different uppercase and lowercase n here. So when you run this, it's going to tell you that name is undefined, right? So it's going to be throwing a reference error saying that name is not defined. So that is what we mean by case sensitivity. So it is case sensitive, right? Then the last one is that it must not contain a space. All right. So for instance, I want to write username, and I say user and name, they are two different words. So let me just put space. It is not allowed in JavaScript. So it will still throw an error like this. So these are some of the rules for naming your variables, right? The next thing on the list, don't even understand why this, okay. Yeah, so there are some best practices basically for naming your variables, right? And we have a couple of them, but I just listed these two because that's what will be. They are very important for now. So first of all, is that your variable names should actually be meaningful and descriptive names. Yeah. So when you're naming a variable, make sure that it is portraying or it is speaking to the value it is holding, right? So for example, so I cannot come here and put S or maybe A equal to ANST. It will print the name. If I do console.log A, it will still give me the same result that name will give me. But the honest truth is that if I come back to this code, let's say for instance, you have thousands of lines of code, right? And then tomorrow, or maybe in a month's time, or in a few months' time, or in a year, and you come back and what you use as variable name for a particular thing is A or B. Even you that wrote the code, you will be looking at it and be confused. You'll be asking yourself, what is this? What is even this A? What is this A? You might figure it out if you're the one that wrote the code. You might figure it out, but it will take you some time to figure it out. Unlike when you come here and you see, or unlike when you name your variable like name, or maybe names of boys, right? So if I have names of boys, it's probably maybe I have an array here, and then I have like James, John, and what have you, like, and so on and so forth. So what it means is that anytime I open this code, in fact, even if I'm not the one that opened it, if somebody else opens the code, once they see this variable, they know that what you have stored in this variable is names of boys. Do you understand? I don't know if that is making sense. In the same, so I'm just trying to use this as an example to illustrate the importance of naming your variable, giving your variables meaningful names that are descriptive to the value that it is holding. So that when you come across that variable in years to come, you will know that this is what I am expecting from this variable. This is what this variable should give me when I call this variable, right? The next one is the use of camel case for variables and functions. So like for the first point, this is not just for variables that you're using for like maybe any value. It also applies to names of functions, so if you have a particular function that is returning something, we're going to talk about functions in subsequent classes. So don't bother your head too much about what a function is in case you've not heard of what a function is. So even function names, you have to name functions to make sense, to actually reflect what the function is doing. The same thing with methods, right? you have to name it what to reflect what that function is doing and what you are expecting that function to return, or what you're expecting that function to do for you. Then the next point here is the use of camel case, like I said. So I don't know if you wondered why I wrote the name of boys the way I did, right? This is camel case, right? So when you have variables that are more than one word, right? They are more than one word. It is good to use camel case, or it is even conventional to use camel case, so that when you look at it, like looking at my screen now, you can see name of boys. It's easier for you to read it. Unlike maybe if I wrote it like this, right? Looking at it once, you might not even be able, you might be like, which word is this? What is this one? Do you understand? So now, depending on, and imagine when you now have maybe a longer name for a variable, and then you have so many words that you've just jam-packed together, you will not even be able to read it, right? So it's conventional that you use camel case so that even you that is writing it can read it. It doesn't mean that when you write it the way I wrote it before, it will not work. It will still work, right? But then it is more conventional and better for you to write it the way with camel case, basically. So you can see that it actually still logged the names of boys for me on the console, right? But it is more conventional, more even good in the eyes to write your variable names with camel case. There are other ways to, there are other cases, right? Depending on the language that you're dealing with, right? So the next thing we are going to be talking about is the variable keywords. So we have 3 variable keywords in JavaScript. They are,
Hi, sorry, my hand is raised. I want to ask a question.
okay, please go ahead. What's your question? Who is that?
This is Damilola.
Damilola. Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, please, I want to ask a question concerning the camel case. So, where you have name of boys, can you have the N to be capital letter, or it has to be lowercase?
It has to be lowercase. It has to be lowercase. Upper cases are used for maybe when you want to name a class. We will also get to that when we yeah, we'll get to that. So uppercase are used when you want to name a class. But for variables, you use lowercase later. And then when it now involves more than one word, you can now combine, you can now start the next word, that's the second word, with an uppercase letter. That's where you now use the camel case. I hope I answered your question. So you use uppercase to start name when you are dealing with class. Okay, so yeah, so let's go back. Where am I? That's my slide. Okay, so yeah, variable keywords. Yeah, so in JavaScript we have you can already see that I've used let when I was explaining variables to declare a variable. So in JavaScript we have 3 keywords that are used to declare variables in JavaScript, which is the var, let, and const. The var keyword is associated with older versions of JavaScript, right? But we have the let, the const, which is more of the exes, which came in with the introduction of exes, right? So let's see. Okay, so first of all, the var keyword is a function scoped keyword. It can be redeclared and it can be updated. What do I mean? It means that the var keyword cannot be used or accessed outside of the function where it was declared. Right? So when you declare a variable using the var keyword, you cannot access that variable outside of the function it is declared. and we'll see that in play. Also, you can also redeclare a variable that you have declared before using var keyword, and you can update it if you want. So meaning you can change the value of the variable, right? So let's see that in play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function. We'll talk about function in subsequent classes, so I won't be explaining what functions is here. So I'm just going to create a function just to illustrate what I mean. So let's say the function here is maybe just call it compare, and then so this is the way to like write a function, at least the basic. I mean, this is a function syntax in JavaScript. So yeah, inside this function, let's say for instance, I have a keyword. I have a variable, not a keyword. I have a variable, so declared here. So let's say var. Let me use name. Let me still use name equal to. You know what? Let me. Yeah, let me do that first. So let's say name equal to Mary. Yeah, and then I come out here. So for you to be able to run or get the function to do anything you want it to do, you have to call the function, right? So I'm going to call this function compare, right? And then let's say I want to log this name. I want it to print the variable for me. So let's say console.log name. So if I run this, code, I'm going to get an error, a reference error, basically. And if you look at the error, it's saying name is not defined. But we can see that there's name here, right? So what happened? Why is it not logging the name? It's not logging this name because we are trying to access name outside of this function where the name variable was declared. And that's because we declared it with the var keyword, right? But let's see another scenario whereby I say, let's say if name, right? If name, then var age equal to 12, right? And then I now come out of this if block. So this is a block of code, right? And I come out of this block, still inside the function, and I log age. All right, so I say console log age. Remember, this is a different block, but we are still within this function, right? And then I log it. I've called the function. So when I run this code, sorry, excuse me, said if, okay, let me just leave this. If true, yeah, so name is not defined. So it's actually seeing name as a variable. Yeah, what I have in here is also a variable, but I didn't assign it to anything. So let me just use a Boolean instead so that we don't get into this error. So command J. So I'm saying if it is if true, then age should be this. So now I'm logging age. So if I run this, I'm going to get age 12. But if I bring this console log out of this function, in fact, immediately I brought it out, you can see the difference already. If I bring it in, this is highlighted well. If I bring it out, it dims. So if I run this, I'm going to get the same reference error saying that age is not defined. So that is what we mean by var. When you declare a variable using the keyword var, it is function scoped. meaning that you cannot access it outside of the function where it was created, which is outside this function. Anything outside this function, you will not be able to see it. But if it is within the function, you can do anything with it, you can see it, irrespective of the block where you declared it variable. I hope that is clear. Then the next thing is this somebody that raised?
Excuse me. Yeah.
Okay,
Hold
please.
on. Please, I want to find out, what do you click to run your item to get your console? Because I'm not seeing you clicking anything. It's just like you're clicking the next thing and you're getting results on your console.
Okay.
Response dash. So what do you click? Where are you running it?
Are you seeing my terminal?
Yes, I am.
So basically what I used to run is this code, this node, and the file name, right? I am not typing it again because I already typed it before, and I can use, so on my MacBook, when I click on, I think it also happens on Windows, when you use if you've run a command before on your terminal, if you use the up arrow key on your keyboard, it will bring up that command for you. Do you understand? If you keep, it will just be bringing up all those commands for you that you've run before. So that's what I just do. I just use the up arrow key and then it brings that command for me, and then I hit enter, it runs. Did I answer your question?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. All right. So remember, these things you can also do on your browser, like I demonstrated before. Do you understand? You can declare variables on your browser and have them return the same result for you. So let's say let name equal to Mary, right? Currently name is undefined. So if I do console.log, console.log, and then I say log name, and I hit enter, it's going to log Mary for me, right? The same
Sorry,
thing
I can't
with
see
any.
this babe. I can't see what you're doing. Okay, now it's showing.
Yeah, that's what happens. Is the network is lagging. You see it basically. It's just a size patient. So yeah, like I said before, you can do these things and it will show you here. You can basically create your function, say function name, and then you you can give it what you want to give. You say console.log. This is our first function, right? And then we close the function here. Invalid syntax error. Hold on. Oh yeah. Okay, so there's a problem here. I didn't close the string.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
have a
So
question.
yes, please go ahead.
Because the
Okay. So
network was lagging when you were trying to show us how to use Chrome, I don't know how you got this console or what you clicked on your browser to get here.
okay. So what I clicked was, let me copy this, please. What I clicked was, when I opened my browser, I right clicked on anywhere, just right click anywhere on your browser, and then it will open, you'll see this thing. You click on inspect, and then you click on console. That's how I got to where I am. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So, so yeah, I have this name has already been declared before. So, okay, so it was declared before, so I can't use it as a function name. So let me just add something. So let's say names. So if I call this function is undefined for now because
Sorry, your network is really lagging, and so we can't even see what you're doing right now. We're still stuck on the network tab.
Wow. I don't know what to do about that anymore because I've switched my network severally. Let me switch back again. I don't know if MTN is worse than
Back on
Spectrum.
it.
When you're on the slide, it nothing moves directly, but when you're on this browser, the start lagging. So I don't know, maybe it's the app or the web browser or the VS Code itself, but the slides is always in line with your what you're saying.
So the thing is, first of all, the slide is on the same window, on the same browser, on the same window. Yeah, yes, window with the call. But when like my VS Code is on a different window entirely, so I have to like move away from that. So I don't know if that is why. I'm just saying this. And then my console, my browser that I'm using to demonstrate this thing to you is also on a different, you know what? Let me just use this. Let me use on the same tab. Okay, use this. Okay. So, I hope you can see my screen now. Sure. Are we here?
Yeah, me too. Can see your screen.
Okay, thank you. So let's proceed. So, yeah, the next thing is the let keyword. So the let keyword is also another keyword in JavaScript that we use to declare variables. This let keyword is block scoped. It cannot be redeclared. Oh, sorry, I forgot to demonstrate redeclaration of the var keyword. So let's say, let me just do that before we go to so I'll just comment this out and then I'll declare a variable called, let's say, name, right? And then give it a value, Mary. Now, with the var keyword, I can actually declare another variable called name and give it a different value. Do you understand? So I can do var name and then give it something else. Maybe can even give it a number, say maybe 46, right? With the same name, the same variable name. That's what the var keyword would do. But what happens is, let's do console log here, console.log name here.
I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm the only one, but can anyone see anything?
Mm,
Sorry, can you see anything?
No, I can't. I can't.
this is terrible. What kind of problem is this one?
It was fine at the point until when you switched to your log on your web browser, then come back to VS Code now after.
So what can you see on my screen now?
It's just
You're
showing
on
your
VS
VS
Code.
up to the compare part.
Okay, so the lines of code I've written next now, you've not seen it.
At all.
Oh, this is not even a good listing at all.
Maybe you can stop sharing and share again.
Okay, let me stop sharing and share again then. I was going to say maybe I should just stop and then I'll share again. I'll share a specific tab away from this window. Okay. So I'm sharing my screen again. Can you confirm you can see my screen now?
Yes, you can see your screen and every other line of code you've written before.
Okay. So I was just trying to demonstrate the var keyword and giving room for redeclaration of variables, right? So with the var keyword, I've declared a variable here called name, and I assigned it Mary. The reason why I put this console log here is so that we'll see what the value of name is at this point, and then what the value of name is here with the same variable, right? So I'm going to run this code. When I run it, so you can see two different values on my terminal. What it means is that here, when this first line is this what this thing displayed, right? So what it means is that name at this point was Mary. Then we now redeclared it again, the same variable. At this point, it became 46. If I remove this and run and just run this code again, it will just give me 46 because I declared it here and then I redeclared it here and gave it a different value, right? So the var keyword allows you to do this, but this is actually very risky, right, for writing code, especially when you're building applications or even tests or when you're writing tests or anything. Because if you do this kind of thing and some point in your code you are expecting this value and then you go and redeclare a different variable again and give it a different value, it can break your code. It can make your application begin to behave abnormally. It can make your test behave abnormally, right? And that's why with ES6, they fixed this issue by introducing the let keyword and the const, depending on the usage or the should I say, depending on the context of where you want to use these keywords. So yeah, that's what I wanted to demonstrate. So the next thing is I don't know, maybe I should even stop switching my screen so that we don't. So the next thing is the let keyword. You know what? I'll just finish up with what is here, and then we can just do the demonstration there, so that we don't have the plenty back and forth. So yeah, the let keyword, like I said here, is block scoped. It cannot be redeclared like we did with var, but it can be updated. It means that you can reassign it a different value, but you cannot redeclare a variable that you've declared before with the let keyword. Then for const is also block scoped. Remember, var is function scoped, but let is block scoped. Const is also block scoped. And it cannot be redeclared for const. And it can also not be updated. So it is immutable, right? Once you have declared a variable with the const keyword, you cannot do anything to that variable again. Do you understand? You cannot give it another value. You cannot change it. It has to be what it is from the beginning. So let's go to our code and see that in action. So I'm going to uncomment this code, this function, right? And then I would, yeah, I'll still need this. So let me use this. So, so I'm going to be using, let's demonstrate the let keyword for now. So first of all, if I use the let keyword, I think I've already used it before. So let me just leave that. So here, like we said, the let keyword is block scoped. What is a block? This if statement here is a block of code. This is function. This is function scoped. What is inside this function is function scope. But the let keyword is block scoped, meaning that we cannot access any variable that you have declared with the let keyword inside of this if block. You cannot even access it outside of the if block inside the function. You cannot access it inside the function except inside of the block where it was declared, right? So let's say, for instance, I say let age be equal to 45, right? Now I want to console log age. Remember with var, it worked. We're able to do that. So if I run this, I hope you can see my VS Code and what I'm typing.
Yes, you can
Yes,
see.
yes, you can see.
Okay. So if I run this code now, it will throw a reference error. It's saying age is not defined, meaning that outside of this block, it is not seeing this age that you have declared inside of this block of code, right? The only way we can access this age is if we decide to bring out the declaration statement outside of this block and declare it inside this function scope. That is the only time we can access this. So what we can do to solve that is by declaring the age variable outside of the block and then reassigning it. Remember, one of the features of the let keyword is that you can reassign it. So we now, at this point, is not assigned any variable. It's just declared. We've not initialized it or given it anything, right? So at this point, what you can now do is to remove the let keyword and then assign it a variable. So what it means is that you declared it outside the block, and the reason why you're declaring it outside the block is so that you can access it outside of, within this function, anywhere within this function. That's why we have declared it outside of this function, right? Now, when I run this code now, we should be able to get the value of age, which is 45, right? Now, we can also reassign this variable, but we cannot redeclare it. When we use let keyword, you can't redeclare a variable with let. So if I, for instance, I do another let age, I'm going to get an error. Unlike what we did with var. With var, you can redeclare, but with let, you cannot. So it's saying you cannot redeclare block scoped variable age. You can't, because we use the let keyword. But if we use var, we can redeclare the variable and nothing will happen, right? So, but with let, you can't do that. And then but you can reassign it. So let's say, for instance, age, I can change age here too. I can say, I can even come out of this block and say age is something else. Age is equal to 100, right? And it will still work because I'm just redeclaring. I'm just not redeclaring now. I'm just reassigning the variable. I'm just giving it a different value, but I'm not redeclaring it, right? So that's one difference with between let and var. Now let's come to const, right? So I'm going to create a function. Okay, let me name this me. Then so let me declare a variable now called, okay, so let's have the same thing we have here. So if false, for instance, const name, right, should be equal to anst. Now we've declared a variable with const. Const is also block scoped, remember. So if I do console.log name here, and then I'll have to call this function. So I'm just going to call it here. So if I do console.log name here, I will not be able to access this name here because it is block scoped. Because const is block scoped. In fact, the IntelliSense is already telling us that name is declared, but its value is never read. It's not seeing it upon the fact that we are calling it here. It's not seeing it. And if you run this code, you're going to also get a reference error again from this function. Name is not defined, right? So, but when I take this console log inside of this scope, I should be able to, let me do this. Sorry. Name. Code, unreachable code detected. Okay. So I shouldn't, so what I can do is I've declared, we can see the behavior with const is very like really different from let, right? Because with let, I could even do my console log in here and still see my name, but it's not even acknowledging it here, right? Okay, so then another thing is, hold on, I should be able to log this. I should be able to console log this. Why am I not able to? So, okay, let's leave this block for now and say const name equal to name. Yeah. Okay. So I would be able to console log it now. Yeah. Okay. So but another like yeah, so another function, another thing with const is I can't rename this function. So let's say for instance I have name, I can't reassign it. So let's say name now, I give it Ugo. So if I log this, I shouldn't be able to, I should still, yeah, so I should get an error. And I'm getting a type error. So in assignment to constant variable, right? So I shouldn't be able to reassign name. It's not underlining it here, but it's throwing an error saying that we can't reassign a constant variable because I've prefixed it with the keyword const, meaning that I don't want the value of this variable to change at any point in my code. This is very important if you're writing, if you're working with maybe a variable that is really critical and you don't want anything to do, you don't want the value to change at any point in time, maybe like an environment variable or maybe a key, or and you don't want the value to change at any point, because if the value changes, it might break your code, right? So you don't, variables like that, you might want to assign them with the const keyword so that you know that no matter what you want to do, no matter how mistake you want to do, it will not change the value of that particular variable. So that is one thing with the const keyword. So you can't change it. Then it is block scoped, meaning that with the like as in the let keyword, it shouldn't be able to access it outside of this block, right? So let me run this. I don't understand why it's not okay. Unreachable code detected. Why? So why is it unreachable? Why is it unreachable? Why is it unreachable? Okay, I'll have to look into this to know why it's behaving like this. I've not experienced this before, but I'll have to look into it. Anyway, so let's proceed. Yeah, so I think that'll be all for today. That's the last.
Sorry, please, I have a question.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, concerning the const that you explained earlier, you said it can be called outside the function, right?
Yeah, you can. It's block scoped. So you can't access
But
it outside of the block where it was declared.
outside of the block. So my question is, since it is we are using a const for the variable, can the variable be assigned to probably like can you reassign that variable outside that block?
If you can reassign the variable,
Yeah, outside the block function now. Like we are
so
outside the block function where you used it before.
you mean something like this, right? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
maybe
saying?
outside the entire function. Maybe
Function.
you are defining like another function now.
Yes, you can, because it is not being seen outside of this if block at all.
Okay,
So
okay,
when you come out of this function, name does not exist.
okay.
Do you understand? When you
Yeah, I
come
get
out of
it.
this function or this block, name does not exist. Do you understand?
It is only constant inside that function.
Is yeah, so it's accessible inside of the block where you declare it or inside of the function where you declare it.
Okay, okay, all right, thank you.
Any other question? Any other question? Okay, so I want to believe that
Yes,
everyone.
please, I have a question.
Okay, please go ahead. I don't know why my screen is not even moving again. Okay, please go ahead with your question.
Hello, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, please, how did you comment and uncommented the codes without having to manually type the double slash?
So I use for Mac, I use command. So in your keyboard, you have the slash, right? You have the slash button, a button that has the slash, right? So
Yeah.
you just hold on. If you're using a Mac, hold on to your command button and then press that key. If you're using Windows, I think it should be control. You hold on your control button plus that same button on Windows. So that's how I'm doing it. Any other
Okay.
question?
Yes, please, one more question. Please, why do you have open and close brackets before me after function, the function me, then open and close brackets before the curly bracket?
So this is the function. This is where the function call is actually happening. So when you see in in programming, I don't know if it's all programming language because I've not seen all programming languages, but most of the programming languages that I've come across, when you want to call a function or a method, you must include that opening and closing brace. It signifies that it is a function or a method. If I remove that, it's no longer that function. I'm not calling it basically. Not that it's no longer the function, but I'm not calling it. Do you understand? So, but when I call, let's even see what happens when. Okay, let me bring the. Okay, let me use the other function. So let's remove this function call and then say, okay, let's run this code. Did you see what happened? So when I remove the call, like the braces,
Your
it
cursor is
means
not
I'm not
moving.
calling that.
Nothing is happening on your screen, please.
I think the screen is taking time to come up again, but maybe you should just exercise patience a little. So the thing is, when I added the opening and closing brace, meaning I called the function, right? And then I run this code. It console logged the age for me, right? It gave me what this function is returning. Because what this function basically does for now is that it returns, first of all, it checks if it is true, then it assigns 45 to age, and then here it reassigns the 100 to that same age, and then it console logs this. So what this function basically returns is the age, right? The current age, basically. So when I call this function, it should return 100 for me. So, but when I remove this opening and closing brackets, I am no longer calling this function. And to see that in practice, if I run this code, it will not return anything for me. Can you see the difference? I don't know who asked the question. Can you see the difference?
No, I can't. Your screen is not moving.
Oh. So the difference basically is that when I add the call, like when I add the function, that's the opening and closing brackets, which actually enables you know that this is a function or this is a method, right? If I add it, the function returns what it should return. But when I remove it and just put the function name there, it doesn't return what the function should return. So that's basically what happens. I don't know if you understand. So you now, with this example, you can see the importance of adding that particular opening and closing brace. And as you proceed in your journey of writing code, whenever you see a method or a function, you would see that opening and closing brace. In fact, once you see anything written and then they put like that, just know that that is a function or it is a method. Do you understand? So for instance, maybe splits. This is a function, right? This is a function. This is okay, this is an interface actually. Then I wanted to write something. So let's say, let me say name the split. Yeah. So this split is a method in JavaScript, right? That you can use to probably split a string into something. We'll get to that because of this training, right? So you can see that when I wrote it, I called it. So this here means I am calling this method or I am calling this.
Sorry,
I'm not just writing it. You can't hear me.
We can't see
Yes,
anything.
we can't see anything at all.
Now, wow, this is not good at all. Sean, is it Google Meet that is doing this thing? Okay. I'm sharing my screen again. Can you see it now?
Yes, we've seen everything.
Okay. So I will demonstrate it again, what I did before. So I said when you remove this opening bracket and closing bracket, and I run this code, right? It will not return anything for me. Yeah, it's not returning anything because I am no longer calling this function. I just put the name, but I'm not calling the function to actually do what it should do. But when I put in this thing, it means I am now calling this function. When I remove this, I'm just referencing this name here. But when I call it by putting that opening and closing bracket, and then I run this code, it will not return what the function is meant to return for me, right? Now, I was saying that whenever you see in programming, you see, let's say map. This is a method in JavaScript, right? let's say pop. Okay. This is an array method, right? But this is called on an array, right? So that's why you're not seeing. But anywhere you see anything written and then you see an opening and a closing bracket, it means that is a function or a method or a constructor or even an interface. Do you understand? They are basically there for something. They are doing something. They are returning something. Do you understand? I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Any other question? Any other questions? Okay. Means there are no other questions. So by tomorrow, I expect that everybody should have their um their Node.js installed on their laptops, and then their VS Code also installed. And you can, you basically have your laptop set up. If you're having any issues setting up your laptop, please let us know in the Slack channel so that we can help you resolve whatever issues you're having. Then yeah, I'd like you to also play around with some of these things that we did today. And if you have any issues while doing that too, please let us know in the channel as well. So I think that will be all for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, 4 p.m. please. The class coordinators, please let's try to come up with the link for the meeting on time.
That's duly noted.